everybody and welcome back. Today I'm going to be filming my TBR list for the Reading Rush happening this year on Booktube. So this was formerly the Booktubeathon, which started in 2013, but now it's been renamed to the Reading Rush. This is the first time I'm ever taking part, so I'm very excited. Basically, it's a time for book lovers all around the world to read books for one full week starting from July the 22nd. There are challenges and there are giveaways online. There are discounts at the book depository, so if you're interested in taking part, I will leave a link to the website down below. What I thought I'd do today is go through the books I've chosen for the Reading Rush and show you which challenges I've chosen to match them up with. There are badges that you can get for completing the challenges, so I'm really keen to get all of them. The first challenge is an author's first book. For this one, I've chosen Throne of Glass by Sarah J Maas. The reason I chose this one is I recently discovered Sarah J Maas because I read A Court of Thorns and Roses and that whole series. I read the first one and I fell in love with the world. So I read the second one, I fell in love with it more. I'm reading the third one now and I can't put them down. So I figured for a readathon, that's a really good quality to have. So Throne of Glass, that's my first pick. Basically, I don't know that much about it, but I've been told it's kind of like Cinderella, but she's an assassin. She goes to this prince and he gives her a deal where she has to find him a new assassin in exchange for freedom. I don't actually want to read too much about the plot before I read it because I like to be surprised, but I think that's the gist. Could be wrong. I don't know. I'll let you know on my book talk when it comes along. So for the next one, I've actually squished two challenges together. A book that you meant to read last year and a book you will read in one spot. So for this one, I chose quite a short book because it's a play. It's called Standard Elite by Elliot Hughes. I saw this play performed a couple of years ago and it blew my mind. It's an interactive piece of theatre which is very fairy tale-esque. Basically, the audience are separated into two classes, standard and elite. If you're on the elite side of the audience, because they're sitting on opposite sides of the stage, you get to make decisions for what will decisions as to which direction the story is going to go and what form the story is going to take. For example, whether it's going to be a courtroom drama for the next scene or a musical. And basically you're given all the power if you're sitting on the elite side. You get a big comfy chair as well. If you're on the standard side, you don't get to make decisions as to which direction the story is going to go, but you can work your way up to the elite side based on how well you do in challenges and how much you participate. I think it's really cool how it's making all of this like political, socio-economical commentary, and it's magical. The characters are fantasy-esque and it was just really beautifully done. Anyway, I decided to read the playtext for that because it's kind of like a choose your own adventure story where you can read it a second time and it's completely different. Like there are all these other storylines that I didn't actually get to see performed that I'd like to read and see what would have happened. So that is my pick for those challenges. I thought it would be really good to read in one spot just because it's a play, so it's a bit shorter than a full-length novel. And I did mean to read it last year. I did flick through, but I didn't actually sit down and read it, so that will be fun. The next challenge is a book with 5 words or more in the title. I actually had a couple like this that I was thinking about reading that have been on my TBR list for a really long time, but I decided to go with The Fault in Our Stars by John Green. Basically, I chose this book because all of my friends on Goodreads gave it 5 stars, so I'm really excited to see why they like it so much. All I know about this book is that it's made everybody cry and it has something to do with cancer. So that sounds like fun. Moving on. So that brings me to the last book, which I have also smushed 2 challenges together for. These 2 challenges are a book with purple on the cover and a book that has a main character that isn't human. I actually don't know if it fills the second requirement yet because I haven't read this book. I know that it's a fantasy. I don't know if the character's completely human or if she's something else. So if that happens, I guess I'll just have to pick another book as well. But basically, this book is The Burn Shamah, written by Breeana Shields. I found this book today when I was scrolling through lists trying to find a book with purple on the cover that I felt like reading. I really wanted another fantasy book on this list because I love fantasy. And what's interesting to me about this story is the way that it's structured. It seems to be told from multiple points of view, but by the same character. So this character, Saska, I think her name is, she lives in a world where bones have power, and she has her bones read by her mother in this ceremony, and her mother chooses a path for her which Saska isn't happy with. It's a boy she doesn't want to end up with, and it's a job that she just doesn't want. So she has this argument with her mother, and her bone splinters and it splits into two possible futures. So essentially in the book, she lives through two possible futures for herself simultaneously. So we sort of see her perspective shift between these two. We don't know which one's gonna win. We don't know which one's going to actually end up being her future, but she's in danger in both. So this idea is really intriguing for me because I haven't read anything like that, I don't think. So I'm looking forward to reading that one for those last two challenges. Now, I have a couple of other books that I really want to read. I want to reread Graceling by Kristen Cashaw because I've wanted to for a while. I love that book the first time, and because I have such a crappy memory, I just can't remember what happens. So it actually works in my favor sometimes. I also have a sneaking suspicion I might end up reading the sequels to Throne of Glass just because I haven't been able to put down A Court of Thorn and Roses, like that series, for the last week. So if that happens, I'm not gonna fight it. I'm just gonna go with it because, I don't know, I go with my heart. What do you want from me? So those are the books on my TBR for the readathon this year. I'm really excited. I've never been a part of anything like this before. I've also heard whisperings of read-ins happening all around the world. I haven't been able to find one in my area yet. So if anyone's like in the UK, in the Yorkshire area, and would like to meet up, let me know because I'd totally be interested in coming along. I hope you all have a happy reading rush and that you meet all of your reading goals for this year. I have fallen terribly behind on my Goodreads reading goal. Update, I'm 14 books behind. I don't know if 100 books in a year was a little bit ambitious for me. I read a lot, I said. It'll be fine, I said, but apparently it's harder than it sounds. So anyway, have a lovely reading rush. I wish you all the best, and I will see you again soon.